Greetings and salutations, I'm Jordan the IT guy, and today let's chat about PowerShell and VS Code. So what we're going to be jumping into today is this fancy concept that you may have heard of before called IDE, or an interactive development environment. Now, pretty much any language that you work in when it comes to coding is going to have a preferred IDE, but as things have gone on, things have gotten more developed, more modern, there's been kind of a commonality where most IDEs will now support a multitude of different languages. I would say that by far, VS Code is one of the biggest out there at this point. It works on multiple different platforms, whether you're Windows, whether you're Mac, etc., and so it's become very, very popular in the world. We're going to be using this to demo and showcase in the future here how we can start to write more complicated things in code, where we maybe want to write something that's bigger than just one line of text. Not to say that we can't fit everything on one line, because, there's totally challenges to do that, but we want to look at how we can build out bigger coding blocks. Before we jump into VS Code and the IDE it is, we're going to take a quick look at the native built-in ISE that ships with every single Windows device. Now, just know that the ISE is technically deprecated at this time. There won't be any new features that are coming out to it, but it is an available editor that is on every single Windows machine that's out there today. So if you need to make a quick edit or a quick touch-up to a script, it is available to you without needing to go out to the internet and download something else. Let's jump into it. All right, first we're going to go ahead and take a look at what the ISE looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and go down here to the Start menu. I'm going to type in ISE, which is going to load up the Windows PowerShell ISE as an option. Right-click, Run as Administrator, select Yes. This is going to open up our ISE editor. If, on the off chance it's the first time you open it, sometimes it loads like this. If you just click this little button here, it'll expand out what's called the scripting window. Now, ISE stands for Integrated Scripting Environment. It's just a slightly different name. It's just because of the fact that you can both write a script up here, and then you can run the snippets of code down here, and you can also save them. So what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is I can actually do stuff like write host, hello, world, and then hit enter, and then I can write host, world, plus 2. Okay? And then I can actually highlight both of those lines and hit run, and it will run both of those lines. So it said, hey, run the command write host hello world, then run the command write host hello world plus 2, and that then produced this output. There's all kinds of different things you can do that. You can also just highlight one line and then hit run. That's all we're going to talk about for this. You can also save it, run scripts in it, but just know that it's there. It's available to you if you need it. Let's jump into VS Code. In order to get VS Code, if you simply open up your web browser, pop on out here, you can type in VS Code into your browser of choice, and it'll search it out. It's code.visualstudio.com, and you can go out here and click download. Now, you can always hit download for Windows, or if you're feeling adventurous, you can actually come out here and you can download a couple of different options. If you go to the other downloads folder, there is also the Insider's build. I recommend taking a look at this at some point if you're interested in doing so. It gives the product team a whole bunch of feedback and helpful information on what does and what doesn't work for people. Now, I'm going to go ahead, pop over here. I've already downloaded this ahead of time. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to actually install the Insider build. Just go ahead and double click this. I'm going to go ahead and say yes. Now I am installing the system version of this. I'm going to say I accept the agreement. We'll go next. Looks like a wonderful location to install some software. Again, looks like a perfectly fine thing to do. I'm going to go ahead and not create a desktop icon, but I am going to check these two buttons, okay? And I'm going to zoom in on this right here. These few things here are kind of important to know about later on. This lets you open things when you right-click stuff with VS Code Insiders. So if you want to right-click, open a file, open a text file, or open a script with it, it adds that to the context menu for you. Down here, it registers for file types or for supported file types, things like, oh, I know I can open a PowerShell file with this, things like that. And this add to path option, we'll talk a little more about this, but basically if you're in PowerShell, you can type code space a file name, and it knows then that it should open that file with the code extension or with the code software. Let's go ahead and back out, go next, hit install, patiently wait a moment here. And we're done. Let's go ahead and launch that for us real quick. This is going to go ahead and open it up. We can choose a couple of different options here. We can choose if we want to be in high contrast, dark mode, light mode. And there's a whole bunch of different themes out here. I'm going to go ahead and choose dark mode for this for right now. I'm going to go ahead and sync from other devices later on. And we can go ahead and open our editor playground, split editor, install Git. There's all these different things that we can do. I'm just going to mark all those done for now. We pop on over here. We can go ahead and open a new file. I'm going to go ahead and do hello world. I'm going to hit Control S to save this file. I'm going to choose that I want to save this file as all file types. Scroll up. Hello world.ps1 and hit save. Now notice it's going to recommend that, hey, you should install the recommended extensions for PowerShell. I'll go ahead and install. I'm fine with PowerShell Preview for this. We'll let this install here for a moment. Notice how this then also opens up my terminal down here, and it's now aware because it's now PowerShell aware on this front. We'll go ahead and say yes on this one. That's fine. We'll pop back over here. Now, if I come over here and I do write host hello world, I can now highlight this and then hit the function F8 key to debug run that code. Now, it's getting grumpy at me. It's not going to let me run that because it's running something over here to update my NuGet package management stuff down here. But just know that in a moment or two, it would actually run this. All right, that's it for downloading and installing VS Code. Next time, we're going to jump into how we can customize this to make this a little more visible and reader-friendly, both for you in the audience and also just for you as a user. Thanks for watching, and I hope this was helpful. Have a wonderful rest of your day.